The day before my sister and I went out to introduce new species, I found the Dragon King. To repay my kindness, the Dragon King married me and brought me into his underwater palace. 100 years later, I gave birth to a little golden dragon, and the Dragon King was so thrilled that he immediately declared him the crown prince. Honored through my son, I transformed from a mere carp spirit into the queen ruling over the 4 seas, and my sister, because of her excessive reproductive ability, was reduced to a breeding machine within the clan. Out of jealousy towards me, she used the pretext of a family visit to force me to drink poisoned wine. When I opened my eyes again, my sister went straight to the place where the Dragon King was injured, and I knew she had also been reborn. But she didn't know that marrying the Dragon King was easy. Giving birth to a male dragon is harder than reaching the heavens. The carp clan has been cursed for 1,000 years. The clan has only produced female fish, no male fish. By my generation, there isn't a single male fish of the right age left in the clan. To ensure the prosperity of the clan, the chief has decided to send our generation of young female fish out of the tribe to find male fish from other tribes for breeding. As soon as the chief finished explaining the precautions for the journey, my sister swam out of the ancestral hall and headed north, outside the tribe. I looked in that direction and immediately understood. My sister has also been reborn. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. As expected, before half a day had passed, Saiji came to call me. Shinro, hurry to the ancestral hall. Shinmu brought back a water snake. I put down what I was holding and headed out. By the time Saiji and I arrived, the inside and outside of the ancestral hall were already filled with kneeling fish. Saiji was dumbfounded. What's going on here? Before we could get an answer, both of us were pulled down to our knees by the fish beside us. Saiji, curious, whispered, "What's going on?" I thought Shinmu was going to be punished for bringing back a water snake. The person replied, "What water snake? What she brought back is the Dragon King." Saiji was shocked. The Dragon King, the legendary dragon. Listening to their conversation, I finally felt a glimmer of reality. In the undersea world, it's the survival of the fittest, and our carp clan are born weaklings. 1,000 years ago, to seek refuge, our people settled here and established a rule. No clan members are allowed to go out, nor are outsiders allowed to be brought back. If there were any other male fish left in the clan leader would not have made the decision to seek external breeding. Earlier, Saiji was still discussing with others what was happening inside, but I clearly knew that at this moment, the Dragon King, to repay a favor, was proposing to Shinmu. The reason was simple. In the previous life, it was not Shinmu who saved the Dragon King, but me. At that time, knowing I was about to leave the tribe, I went to the north to gather food to take on the journey, and ended up encountering the severely injured Dragon King. I brought him back to the ancestral hall, and the clan leader immediately recognized him as the Dragon King. With just one pill given to him, the Dragon King returned to human form. The scene at that time was just like now, with fish kneeling inside and out. It was on this occasion that the Dragon King expressed his intention to take me back to the Dragon Palace and take me as his concubine. The Dragon King is the ruler of the 4 seas. To be favored by him, as the clan leader said, I must have saved a bodhisattva in my past life to have such good fortune. Amid the sound of gongs and drums, I followed the Dragon King to his underwater palace. The Dragon King had many wives, but very few children. Even the queen had not borne him a single dragon son. So, 100 years later, when I gave birth to a little golden dragon, he was immediately named the crown prince. Thanks to my son's status, I became the new mistress of the 4 seas. Beneath the dragon, above all fish, my sister Shinmu, the only one in our clan born as a male fish, became the candidate for the new generation leader. To strengthen the clan, she was reduced to a breeding machine. Upon learning of my situation, she grew envious. When he came to the Dragon Palace to visit, he pried open my mouth and forced me to drink poisoned wine. The suffocating feeling I had before death hadn't yet faded. I gently rubbed my throat and coughed twice. The Dragon King led my sister out. The clan leader announced the news that Shinmu was to be wed to the Dragon Palace, and all the clan's people kowtowed in unison. I followed along, and when I looked up, I met my sister's gaze. Her eyes were filled with triumph, especially when she saw me, her expression turning disdainful. Due to the Dragon King's influence, the clan's plan to seek external breeding was temporarily put on hold. The clan leader had the entire clan prepare the dowry for my sister's wedding. I was the best at needlework, so I was assigned the task of making the wedding dress. Looking at the red fabric, I felt a bit envious. In my previous life, I never got to wear a wedding dress. My sister lived next door to me, and the Dragon King stayed at her house. Just as I started cutting the fabric, I heard my sister's laughter. As the laughter grew more unrestrained, their indecent words also seeped through the wall into my ears. My face flushed red. I never expected my sister couldn't even wait for the wedding night, indulging in pleasure with the Dragon King on the very first day. In my previous life, it took a full month after entering the Dragon Palace before I consummated the marriage with the Dragon King. Not long after, the sound ceased. I calmed my mind and focused on sewing the wedding dress. Halfway through, the door was pushed open. My sister walked in, her face glowing with radiance. "Shinro, you must put your heart into making my wedding dress." I lifted my head, my hands clenching my clothes tightly. My sister and I are identical twins. But she has always been stronger than me since we were young. Using her physical advantage, she would often hit, scold me, and take my things. So, I've always had a natural fear of her. In my past life, when she forced me to drink poisoned wine, I didn't even dare to resist. I just begged her not to harm my Jinnah. Thinking of Jinnah, my heart aches a little. Sister raised her fist. "What are you staring at?" After so long, my heart still trembled. I averted my gaze and said calmly, "Nothing." Sister leaned in, gloating. "You're not convinced because I was the one who saved the Dragon King. I'm about to become the queen," I said. "I wouldn't dare be unconvinced." "Congratulations, sister. But I must remind you, the Dragon King already has a queen. Mind your own business." My sister's face turned pale, and she swung her palm at my face, but I dodged to the side. She was stunned. "You dare dodge," I said calmly. "Sister is about to get married, so you should avoid being rough. The Dragon King doesn't like violent women." My sister's expression shifted slightly, her eyes narrowing as she stared at me for a long time. "Sister, you've been reborn too," I said. "I don't understand." My sister snorted coldly. "The old you would never have dared to speak to me like that." I fell silent. My sister brushed her sleeve and said, "Even if you've been reborn, it's useless. I've already saved the Dragon King. In your past life, you could become the queen, and so can I. I'm more fertile than you, and my qualifications are better. Don't even think about snatching it away. You're only fit to pave the way for me." My sister left. Watching her retreating figure, I smiled. She really thinks that entering the Dragon Palace and giving birth to a dragon son will guarantee her a smooth rise to power. Little does she know, it's a place that devours people without spitting out their bones. Since she's willing to suffer in my place, I couldn't ask for more. After learning that I was also reborn, my sister stopped letting me have any contact with the Dragon King. She always finds various excuses to keep me away. On the day of the journey to the Dragon Palace, my sister asked me to help her put on the wedding dress. The clan leader came to explain the rules to her. Just as he entered the door, the sister let out an ouch, then pulled out a needle from her neck. Tears welled up in her eyes. "Shinro, you actually tried to harm me." The clan leader, "What happened?" Sister turned to the clan leader. "Clan leader, Shinro placed 2 needles in my wedding dress. She's jealous that I'm marrying the Dragon King." I lowered my gaze. Such a crude and lowly trick. If this were to be known in the Dragon Palace, those people would probably laugh themselves to death. The clan leader could see through the scheme at a glance, but given my sister's current status, she could only punish me by forbidding me from following them to the Dragon Palace and ordering me to reflect on my mistakes in the ancestral hall. I nodded and walked out. My sister smiled with a proud expression. Laugh all you want, you won't be laughing in a moment." When Saiji returned, I was packing my things for the trip. Seeing her storm into my room, I asked, "How was the Dragon Palace?" "Saiji, don't even mention it, it's so embarrassing." It turned out that my sister's procession was stopped by one of the queen's maids right outside the Dragon Palace. The maid said that the Dragon King was taking a concubine, not marrying a wife, and shouldn't make such a grand spectacle of it. I asked my sister to get off the sedan chair and walk in. This was within my expectations. I encountered this kind of trouble in my previous life as well. However, I didn't want to marry the Dragon King, so I said at the time, "Then I won't marry, I want to return to the tribe." The Dragon King grew anxious, scolded the maidservant, and welcomed me in with great fanfare. In my previous life, my sister also came to see me off, so she was the reason I did this. As a result, the Dragon King waved his hand and said, "Since our benefactor does not wish to marry, you may return." My sister was dumbfounded and quickly changed her mind, saying she wanted to marry. She could only get married by stepping down from the sedan chair, but when the maid saw her red wedding dress, she said it was against the rules. They directly stripped the red wedding dress off her sister. Saiji was furious. I just don't understand what's so great about marrying a lousy man, willing to be someone's concubine and letting others strip her clothes in public. It's such an embarrassment to us carps. In our carp clan, females have always been valued more than males, from a young age. The education I received also emphasized the supremacy of female fish, especially the more fertile ones being the most esteemed. Therefore, my sister's behavior is seen as shameful by our people. I'm afraid my sister is still wondering why, with the same argument, the Dragon King stood up for me in my previous life but ignores her this time. She simply doesn't understand the Dragon King. The Dragon King was lustful, with a harem of beauties far exceeding 3,000. His favorite pastime was taking concubines. On average, he would take 5 or 6 each year. In his eyes, the ones he couldn't have were always the best. My sister's biggest mistake was giving herself to him too easily from the start. The Dragon King had already consumed her entirely. If she didn't have any more dazzling skills, in his eyes, she was no different from a salted fish. That Dragon Palace. What's truly frightening isn't failing to win the Dragon King's favor, but the jealous queen. In the blink of an eye, the day for our seed-gathering expedition arrived. The clan leader gave us a few more reminders about the precautions to take. The moment we left the tribe, my heart swelled with excitement. In my previous life, I was imprisoned in the tribe before marriage, and after marriage, I never left the imperial palace. I had never seen the outside world. Along the way, I wandered and paused, playing everywhere, made many fish friends, and almost forgot my mission. As the return date approached, I randomly picked a fish at the market. I don't know what breed it is, I don't know its name either. All I know is that the fish had a delicate appearance, spoke with the air of a scholar, wore a white robe, and cupped its hands in salute to me. "Miss, may I ask for directions to the Dragon Palace?" I had no way to send it to the Dragon Palace, but guiding it to my bed was something I could handle with ease. I said I knew the way and took him to the inn, then brought out the aphrodisiac the clan leader had given me. I must say, the aphrodisiac worked quite well. The size and potency of this fish were exceptional. After doing it once, I worried it wasn't enough, so I administered it 2 or 3 more times to really reinforce the effects. In the end, the man was so exhausted he couldn't even lift his hands, watching him fall into a deep sleep. I got dressed and slipped away directly. After leaving that tribe, I spent some more time playing in the sea before returning to my own tribe. 2 months later, good news arrived. The young women from our tribe who had gone out to seek new bloodlines were all pregnant. We carp give birth to thousands of offspring in a single litter. However, only 2 or 3 are able to cultivate into human form. To welcome the arrival of the little ones, the clan leader specially sent people to take care of us and arranged a birthing room for us. A month later, all the other sisters successfully gave birth to baby fish, although only a few could cultivate into human form. The entire clan was filled with joy. My belly is very big, yet there's been no movement for a long time, after 5 months of eating and drinking for free. The clan began to doubt whether there was any seed in my belly at all, but looking at my belly, they dismissed this doubt. Saiji touched my belly and said, "Looking at this belly, there must be at least a few million fish fry in there." Another person shook his head. "If I were to give birth to millions, I'd have to take care of at least a dozen children. I'd be exhausted just thinking about it." Usually, only children who can take on human form are allowed to stay in the tribe. The others are driven away. Another 3 months passed, and finally, there was movement in my belly. After 3 days and nights of labor, I actually gave birth to a little koi spirit in human form, and this little carp spirit is actually a male. The entire clan was shocked. As no male fish had been born in the clan for 1,000 years, it may not be important, but that doesn't mean it's not needed. The clan leader immediately summoned me and asked who the child's father was. I said, "I don't know." The clan leader pondered, "Your child's father must have very strong spiritual power, which is why you've been pregnant for so long." I understood. Back when I was pregnant with the Dragon King's child, it also took a full year to give birth. I thought the clan leader had come specifically to ask me about the child's father, but that wasn't the case. The clan leader told me the reason why our clan is cursed. It turns out that 1,000 years ago, a male fish was bullied not only by the clan members, but even his own parents treated him poorly. After enduring great hardship, that male fish trained diligently and eventually leaped over the dragon gate, becoming a true dragon. After transforming into a dragon, he resented the tribe's practice of favoring females over males, so he placed a curse on us. The carp clan can only give birth to female fish, never male fish. After hearing this story, my jaw dropped. Did that fish really turn into a dragon? The clan leader nodded. Yes, I asked. Then if I leap over the dragon gate, "Can I become a dragon too?" The clan leader sighed. "Don't miss the point. I'm telling you this because before that fish transformed into a dragon, it was once saved by another fish. That fish might very well be your mother. That's why you were able to give birth to a male fish." However, the chieftain's real intention was to persuade me to think about the tribe. Since I had already given birth to a child, I should go out once more, and the child could be entrusted to someone else in the tribe to raise. She hinted that if I could give birth to several litters of male fish, my contribution to the tribe would be even greater than hers, and perhaps she would even have to hand over her position as chieftain to me. I understood. Perhaps in her previous life, my sister had listened to these words and kept bearing children for the tribe. But I am not my sister. I have no interest in the position of chieftain. I was just about to refuse. Then someone knocked on the clan leader's door. It turned out to be someone from the Dragon Palace. The visitor from the Dragon Palace said my sister was about to give birth and wanted a family member to help with her postpartum care, specifically requesting me. The clan leader was reluctant. Shinro has just given birth herself and still needs to rest during her own postpartum period. Not to mention the baby also needs care. The man smiled insincerely and said, "Patriarch Li, please don't make things difficult for this servant. Lady Mu has said that if you can't bear to part with the child, just bring the child along. The Dragon Palace won't be unable to take care of a mere child." The patriarch didn't dare to offend the people of the Dragon Palace. Even if unwilling, he had no choice but to pack me and the baby off to be sent over. I named the baby Yunxiao. Upon arriving at the Dragon Palace, after repeatedly confirming that Yunxiao was just an ordinary carp, my sister finally felt at ease. Holding her belly, she smiled at me. "Sister, don't blame me for insisting you come. It's just that this matter of the dragon heir is too important. I wouldn't trust anyone else to handle it." Seeing her glowing, rosy complexion, I knew she was doing well. The Dragon King had long lost much of his fertility due to the Queen's interference, which is why he sought so many women, yet none could bear him a child. The reason my sister could conceive his child is because our kind is highly fertile and capable of bearing offspring. Due to our physical constitution, we also possess a strong maternal instinct. That's why in my previous life, my sister was jealous of me and killed me, yet she never laid a hand on my young Jinnah. The Dragon King has long suffered from a lack of dragon heirs. He has many children, but not a single one among them is a dragon. The only one remotely related to a dragon is a Jiao, so this child is destined to receive the Dragon King's special attention. With the Dragon King paying such close attention, naturally, if my sister wants a star, she gets a star. If she wants the moon, she gets the moon. She is at the peak of her influence, and I dare not provoke her, so I could only bow my head and say, "Naturally, it should be so." My sister was very pleased with my obedience and laughed heartily, saying, "Shinro, look at you now utterly fawning, without a shred of dignity." I said, "You must be joking." In the following days, I endured endless humiliation from my sister. Not only did I have to serve her tea and water, but I also had to put up with her constant insults. Even the servants in the Dragon Palace couldn't stand it and privately asked me if I had offended her. I smiled without a word and went to the Dragon Palace's library every day. The clan leader said she didn't know where the Dragon Gate was or how to leap through it. The Dragon Palace had countless books, and after searching for a long time, I finally found one. It turned out the Dragon Gate was right above our tribe. All I had to do was swim to the surface to see it. I memorized the contents thoroughly and told Yunxiao how to practice. My sister listened dismissively. A carp leaping over the Dragon Gate to become a dragon, that's just a legend. You don't actually believe it, do you, little sister? I said. Since it's recorded in the book, it must have truly existed. My sister laughed heartily. You're so naive. It seems even after being reborn, you haven't grown any wiser. The imperial physician said I'll be giving birth in a few days. I'll let you see what a real dragon looks like then. I said calmly, let's talk about it after you give birth. My sister's expression changed. You're just jealous that I can give birth to a dragon prince in this life, while you only gave birth to an ordinary carp. Shinro, admit it, it took you 100 years to conceive a dragon child, while I got pregnant in less than a year. You can't compare to me. I'm destined to have a smoother life than you did in your previous life. I remained silent. My sister flew into a rage and punished me by making me clean her palace alone. While I was mopping the floor, a group of people carried my sister inside. My sister was writhing in pain on the bed, screaming and howling. It seemed she was going into labor. As expected, her constitution was extraordinary. She gave birth in less than half a day. However, the child wasn't a dragon, but an ordinary carp. Even so, my sister's maternal instincts kicked in, and she cradled the carp in her arms. Utterly smitten with it, the Dragon King heard the news and rushed over. My sister, lying in bed, joyfully handed the child to him. "Look, this is our child." The Dragon King took the pink bundle, and my sister's smile grew even brighter. I covered Yunxiao's eyes. The next second, the Dragon King lifted the child and threw it directly to the ground. The child cried twice and then fell silent. The sister's face changed, and she dragged her exhausted body out of bed. She crawled to the child who had just been smiling at her, her outstretched fingers trembling slightly. After checking for a breath, she confirmed that the child had been killed by the fall. The sister let out a scream, looked up at the Dragon King with tears streaming down her face, and cried, "What have you done? This is our child. He is not a dragon, so he is not my child." The Dragon King was cold and heartless. Having said this, he was about to leave. The elder sister was in agony. She lunged forward to strike the Dragon King. "Even if he is not a dragon, he is still my child. How dare you kill him? I risked my life to give birth to him." But what kind of person is the Dragon King? How could he possibly let her get close? With a flick of his sleeve, he sent her sister flying straight into a pillar. "Don't be crazy. Once you've recovered your health, you can just have another one." He said it as if it were the most casual thing in the world. The child doted on by my sister seemed to him not even worth a blade of grass. The Dragon King left. The guards and maidservants left. In the vast palace, only Yunxiao and I remained by my sister's side. My sister crawled over to her newborn child and carefully picked him up. My child, my child." Her tears fell like strings of pearls. She looked utterly heartbroken. Our Carp clan has an extremely strong maternal instinct. To see one's own child being brutally killed right before one's eyes would cause such physical and emotional pain that the whole body would convulse. The death of a child is even more painful than one's own death. My sister's maternal instinct is far stronger than that of an ordinary carp. She wept for a long time, the warmth gradually fading from the body in her arms, until it finally transformed into an ordinary little fish. I took Yunxiao's hand and walked over. "Sister, do you still think choosing this path was a good idea?" My sister looked up, her eyes red. "You knew all along, didn't you? You knew it wouldn't be easy to survive in the Dragon Palace, knew that none of the Dragon King's consorts were easy to deal with, knew he would kill my child, didn't you?" I said, "Of course." My sister went mad, lunging at me to strangle my neck. "Then why didn't you say it? If you had said it earlier, I could have protected him, and he wouldn't have died." My sister was too weak after giving birth, so weak that with just a light push from me, she fell, lying on the ground. My sister was still crying. I understood how she felt. It was a pain worse than having one's tendons pulled and bones torn out. I looked at her. "Do you think it took me 100 years to give birth to a dragon son for no reason? Do you really believe I never had children before that? Like my sister, I became pregnant not long after entering the palace. That was my first child. I named him Jinnah, and I had planned out everything for him. But right after the Dragon King saw him, he took a knife and cut off his head. I will never forget that scene. Even now, thinking of it, my heart aches as if being cut by 1,000 cuts. The terrible thing is not that the child was killed. The terrible thing is that the Dragon King has so many women, yet only I can bear his children. So for 100 years, I was pregnant, gave birth, and lost my child every year. Living day and night as if in hell. My sister thought being treated as a breeding machine in her past life was already miserable enough. She doesn't know that in this dragon palace, in the eyes of the Dragon King, she is still just a breeding machine. Before giving birth to a true dragon, every one of her children would meet such an end, watching her own child die before her eyes, yet being utterly helpless. It is the cruelest torture in the world. After hearing my words, my sister shook her head repeatedly. "No, it can't be." She couldn't believe it. How could the Dragon King be so cruel? That was his child too. I said to her, "In this vast dragon palace, only the Dragon King and the Queen are true dragons, but even the children the Queen bore him were not true dragons." Everyone secretly mocked the Dragon King, saying he wasn't a true dragon. So the Dragon King has gone mad with desire for a dragon heir. He needs a true dragon to prove himself. And he doesn't care at all whether it's actually his child or not. My sister had a breakdown. She thought that by entering the Dragon Palace, her highly fertile constitution would quickly help her gain a firm foothold. Just like in my previous life, she would give birth to a dragon son and become the queen. But how easy is it to give birth to a dragon son? My sister's expression slowly twisted, and I knew she must have been thinking about the future. Even ordinary people cannot bear the pain of losing a child, let alone my sister, who has motherhood carved into her very bones. But this was, after all, a path she chose herself, and no one could save her. I sighed and pulled Yunxiao away from the dragon palace, because I refused to continue breeding with outsiders. The clan leader drove me out of the tribe. I took Yunxiao with me and swam upstream. I don't know how long we swam, but finally we saw a light, when Yunxiao and I surfaced. We actually saw a door. That gate was magnificent and grand, so high that its top was out of sight, as if it might lead straight to the heavens. I was certain this was the Dragon Gate. Yunxiao and I settled down here, practicing our cultivation techniques every day without a moment's slack. A year passed, 10 years passed, 100 years passed, 200 years passed. I never expected my sister to find me. When she appeared at the doorstep, I was taken aback for a moment. My sister looked much more haggard, her body even thinner and frailer. She glanced at the Dragon Gate not far away and let out a light laugh. "So you really found it?" I asked her. "What are you here for?" As soon as the words were spoken, my sister actually knelt down before me. "Shinro, I was wrong. Please help me," I said in astonishment. "What can I help you with? Please tell me how you gave birth to a dragon son." Thinking of the children she had lost over the past 200 years, her heart felt as if it were being torn apart. I really can't bear it anymore. Does she remember I gave birth to a dragon child 100 years ago? After enduring a century, she thought she was finally going to give birth to a dragon child, yet she could still only give birth to carps, one litter after another, one child after another. Another 100 years passed like this, with her living in dire straits every day. Her heart had long been riddled with scars. My sister kowtowed to me. "Please tell me how to give birth to a dragon son." I let out a sigh. Indeed, having a son requires a method. In my previous life, I came across a secret method in an ancient book. Although it was a secret method, the process of using it was extremely painful. Seeing my sister in such a state, I felt a moment of softness and told her which book the secret method was in. I couldn't help but advise her. "Since you've already escaped from the Dragon Palace, why go back? Why must you bear a child for the Dragon King?" But I also knew she had been fixated on this for so many years. It was no longer just the Dragon King who wanted a dragon heir. My sister could no longer escape. The year after my sister returned from my place, she successfully gave birth to a little white dragon. The little white dragon was named the Crown Prince, and my sister smoothly became the queen. The day after she obtained the queen's position, she came to see me again. I saw her. "Congratulations, you've got what you wished for." My sister smiled at me. "Thanks to you, little sister, or it wouldn't have gone so smoothly." After saying that, a gleaming knife was thrust toward me. My sister wanted to kill me. But I am no longer that weak carp spirit who couldn't even tie up a chicken. In a flash, I had her tied up instead. I tied my sister to the chair. "Do you know I'm going to kill you?" I said. "Of course, in our past life, didn't you try to kill me? In this life, I helped you give birth to the Dragon Prince. You must be thinking that since I'm the only one who knows the secret method, killing me would ensure that only you can bear the Dragon King's child." My sister frowned. "If you knew, why did you still teach me the secret method?" I laughed. "If I don't teach you, how will you give birth to a sick dragon child?" My sister's expression changed abruptly. "What do you mean? What have you done to my little white dragon?" "Nothing much." "Sister, have you forgotten? I gave birth to a golden dragon back then. How come you gave birth to a little white dragon?" My sister's eyes turned red. "Was it your doing?" "Now it's too late to understand. I changed 2 words in that secret method. You gave birth to a little white dragon, but his true form is still a carp. Unless he cultivates into a dragon, he won't live past 300 years. 300 years. It's considered a long life for an ordinary fish, but to become a dragon king, even 3,000 years wouldn't be enough." Sister's face grew increasingly grim, but in the end, it actually turned into acceptance. "So what, even if he doesn't succeed in the end? My son has been a dragon for 300 years, far happier than Yunxiao, whom you've been forcing to leap through the Dragon Gate. I've given birth to a dragon son, unlike you, who can only dream of having one." No sooner had she finished speaking, a golden light flashed outside the window, followed by a dragon's roar that shook the heavens and the earth. My sister was overjoyed. "Quickly release me, it's the Dragon King coming to save me." But when I let her go and ran outside, the dragon circling in the sky was no Dragon King. The dragon glistened with a golden sheen, and upon closer inspection, it was none other than my Yunxiao. Yunxiao's movements attracted many fish to come and watch. And more fish swam over. "Look, it's a dragon. The carp has leaped over the Dragon Gate. This is an auspicious sign." My sister's expression twisted several times, and she shook her head repeatedly. "Impossible. How can this be? The carp leaping over the Dragon Gate, that's something only found in legends. How could it be so simple?" I said. "How is it simple? Do you think we've been playing around here day and night? My sister panicked. What do you have to be so proud of? It's him transforming into a dragon, not you. Even if he becomes a dragon, he'll just be a wild one. The Dragon King won't acknowledge him. I smiled at her. And how do you know I can't transform into a dragon? My sister's eyes widened. Don't tell me you. Under her gaze, I revealed my carp form. After swimming 2 circles in the water, I seized the moment and leaped out of the surface, chanting the cultivation technique. My entire body grew lighter and lighter. I heard someone cheering. I saw the sea, I saw the mountains, I saw the clouds. I rushed into the clouds and finally saw the very top of the Dragon Gate. It was just a step away from me. I leaped with all my might, and my body jumped over it lightly. A golden light enveloped me. My body grows increasingly light. I feel a heat spreading throughout my whole being. Dragon scales emerge, horns sprout, and my body elongates. My heart surges with emotion, and I can't help but cry out, a dragon's roar. It is a dragon's roar. I also let out a dragon's roar. I turned into a dragon. After flying in the air for a long time, I transformed back into human form. My sister was completely stunned. When I landed in front of her, she had a strange expression. I said to her, what I've always wanted most was never to bear a dragon's child. Rather than relying on a powerful dragon king, it's better to become a dragon myself. Only by becoming a dragon can I have a voice. My sister did not respond to me. Because she knew she was no longer worthy of speaking to me. In such a short time, 2 carps had leaped over the Dragon Gate. The Heavenly Emperor learned of this matter and summoned both me and Yunxiao. In the Heavenly Court, I recounted to the Heavenly Emperor everything the Dragon King had done. The Heavenly Emperor was enraged and immediately sent guards to apprehend the Dragon King. After the Dragon King was captured, more and more dragons came to the Heavenly Emperor to lodge complaints. It turned out that the Dragon King regarded life as worthless, abused his power, and committed many heinous deeds. The Dragon King was sentenced to death, and his harem was disbanded. My sister, who had only been queen for a few days, couldn't bear the drastic change and took her own life in the palace. I found the elder who had cursed our carp clan. By then, he had become the river god of a certain river. After I revealed my identity, he lifted the curse. After the curse was lifted, our clan no longer needed to go out to introduce new species, and the sisters no longer had to fear being eaten by big fish. Yunxiao was favored by the Heavenly Emperor, who gave him a river and appointed him as the Dragon King there. As for me, the Heavenly Emperor said he had prepared a surprise for me, sending me to the Dragon Palace to assist the new Dragon King. I arrived at the Dragon Palace early, wondering who this new Dragon King was and why the Heavenly Emperor called it a surprise for me. Could it be that the Heavenly Emperor has seen me before? That shouldn't be possible. I'm just a little carp spirit. I waited and waited, and finally, someone reported to me that the new Dragon King had arrived. I put on my official robes and went out to welcome him. Fish were already waiting on both sides of the road, standing in 2 rows, holding corals and seaweed in their hands. The turtle minister had somehow gotten a floral wreath and asked me to present it to the new Dragon King later. The new Dragon King walked away amidst the cheers. He came into my view, a slender figure, dressed in white, with a delicate and handsome face. Upon seeing that face, I immediately understood what the Heavenly Emperor meant by a surprise. Isn't this Yunxiao's cheap father? It's not that I've been unable to forget him all these years, but rather that Yunxiao is just too disappointing. Whether as a carp or a dragon, his face is exactly the same as the man before me. The turtle minister pushed me, signaling me to present the flowers, but I was so unnerved by the man's gaze that my scalp tingled. Without thinking, I turned and ran. The man teleported right in front of me. He bowed to me and said, "Greetings, Lady Shinro. I am Jingyang. Have we met somewhere before?" I quickly waved my hands. No. The next second, I was pulled into an embrace. A deep voice sounded by my ear. If not, then where did Yunxiao come from? The end.